Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. Brought to you live from Silicon Valley, California. Please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks.
Yes, and it hangs. Let it hang there, Brian. Love it. Well done. Well done, Brian. Way to bring us into show 101.
Oh, 101.
We're
yeah,
on the
that's
101.
Right.
Yeah,
that's great. Good for us.
We are a show of over 100 episodes now. Super excited about that.
Yeah, all of them top notch.
All of them
Every
top
single
notch.
one of them
Yeah,
has been really, really great listening. Go back in the archives. Go way back to Bill Barry, right? Our first show, or all these great people that we've had on with tons of insights. I'm so proud of us, Brian. We've done a really good job. I think we take a moment.
I'm taking it in. Take it all in.
And we're still here.
And we're still here.
And we got some things to talk about before the show. We got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we have a few things.
As I'm staring at the monitor here, so I don't know if people know this, but the monitor's here. That's why I always look here. But Brian's over there. It doesn't matter. But what's behind you, Brian?
Brian, do you see our new toy?
Toy, I guess. But I mean, give us some insight.
Yeah, so Red Bull was so generous. We've been doing some events with them.
Yeah.
We did about a month ago. We did the basement Red Bull tournament, and we had the winner on the show, Darnell, and hit it off with the crew and invited him to one of our events at Stack Ventures. They love Stack Ventures. They love 1900 Broadway. They were part of our event last week, and told them, hey, we do the same thing for the show. And they said, take some drinks with you. Make it the drink of the show. So now we are officially yes,
a Red Bull show.
A Red Bull. Yes, we're going to make it about Red Bull.
We are under the Red Bull umbrella now.
So they gifted us this beautiful fridge that we will provide beverages to our guests, along with the water from Morehouse HR. You see those beautiful little bottles. Show them the bottle, Brian. I know you have one.
I don't have one over here.
Oh, I leave one. Okay, yeah, Scott, show them one of those bottles. There it is.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Super sexy.
It's got the Morehouse HR, so we're, after 100 shows, Brian, we're stepping up our game.
Once again, I find us to be incredible.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with us.
So
I also wanted to point out, per your instructions, well, what's up with the T-shirt?
You like my shirt?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, last time we learned our lessons, you didn't point out my new shoes and ask me if I ran fast in them, so I told you to fast. Yeah.
Does that shirt make you run faster?
So the shirt doesn't make me run faster, but it makes me prouder. I had a chance.
That's so good.
Oopsie.
Yeah. So I had a chance this past weekend to fly out to Nashville. I'm now trying to adopt my Southern twang a little bit and see Alan Jackson's final show, which was phenomenal. So if you may not be a country music fan, but after seeing this show, you would be. He's a great songwriter. And so I've always been a fan for years. So I got to see his final show. So super excited.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for telling me to do so. And then I just also want to point out that we've got a studio audience today. David's back here. Hi, David.
Yeah, David's got a great story.
He's here with Scott. And I'll let you get on with the show, unless you want to talk about what's the purpose of this show, Brian. Is that next?
After this, well, I want to make sure that everyone knows the purpose of the show. And of course, I also want to personally welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks, and that over there is a good man, Brian Bernasconi. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own.
Hey, I'm thinking now maybe people are going to be calling you just to get in on the show so that they can get a hold of some Red Bull, right? Like they're just going to be like, can I get on the show? I want some Red Bull.
We have cases of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm really excited about this Red Bull thing. I mean, I want to do some extreme sports in here. Like, did you ever see the human fly thing that they did in bars some years ago?
We have a wall. We have a couple walls here blank. We could put up the Velcro.
But do you remember the Velcro? Exactly.
Yeah.
And a trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to do short runs back and forth.
You, me, like 18 Red Bulls in. Yeah.
Go on with the show, Brian. You can't get me off the wall.
Hey, I think the sun's coming up, dude. Let's keep going.
All right. Enough of the shenanigans. Let's bring in our great guest for today. We have Scott and Kirby and David in the background. But in true Silicon Valley Impact fashion, I don't do intros. So Kirby, I will let you kick it off.
Let me start. Okay.
Yeah, kick it off. Give a little intro. Tell the world who you are.
My name is I'm Kirby Harris. I am managing partner, co-founder of a early stage venture fund called Base Ventures. We've been around since 2012. We've invested in upwards of 120 companies, several unicorns, and we have been generalists. And I've been in the space investing for the last 25 years. I spent my whole career at one investment firm or another.
And we met probably about a year ago at Stack. You came and checked out the place, and you're so humble. I'm so curious to know a little bit more about you because we've had a few short conversations, and so I'm so glad you finally able to be on the show. Interested to learn how you got into it, why you love it, what keeps you going. There's times where, for the most part, you're just super chill. But I noticed I asked you a couple questions, and you light up. So I'm going to push that button a little bit and find out why you love doing what you're doing so much. But good to see you. Great to see you.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad I was able to make it. So thanks again for inviting me.
Came out from the East Bay. Scott.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to see you as well.
I feel like we've been best friends online for like years.
Yeah. I definitely have my favorites when I'm on LinkedIn or online, and I've always kept a close eye on you and love what you're doing. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
So tell the world a little bit about what you're working on, and so they can get to know you.
Scott Swanson, CEO of a company called Bonder, and we're on a mission to not just do a regurgitated version of the predecessor in creating apps or social media space. What we developed is a connection engine. So everywhere you go, our platform is a connective layer between you and people and retailers and commerce. And that's kind of where we're at. We're just getting it up and out and establishing really good relationships with some big vendors at this stage of the game. And we feel like in the near future, you're going to have something new on your phone, a kind of software that really goes well with the hardware here, that is helping you have a more efficient human experience. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's good.
Thanks.
Good, Brian, you're right away.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get into it. Excuse me. I'm sure we're going to get into it. But what can you help me understand what a more efficient experience is going to do for me? Like, what am I going to get from that more efficient experience? And I'm sorry to launch in and ask your question, Brian.
This is before Red Bull and donuts, by the way.
I brought donuts, so take it easy.
I had neither, and I'm still ready to go. Well, I'm immediately interested.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a lean-in statement to me.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're interested, and we love talking about it. And it's just a really unique approach to, I guess, let me take a step back. So my background is consulting in global infrastructure to some of the biggest tech companies in the world. I'm a nerd, right? And I was running into a lot of big retailers that were just saying, hey, it's great. We have people that are here, but we're not really connecting with them, and they're not really connecting with us. So what does that look like? You walk into a Home Depot, you're in a 900,000 square foot building, and they have 120 employees, and you spend 40 minutes looking for a bolt. That's a problem. Or you're in a coffee shop and you're hanging out and you're having a cup of coffee and you're siphoning off the internet for a couple hours, and there's really no connecting going on. So, it was my job to go out there and say, hey, they're like, great job, Scott. Primary circuits are there, backup circuits are there, PCI compliance is there, but we have a bigger problem, and go find tech that helps us better connect with our customer. And what the wild thing that we found was there really wasn't anything there. Everyone was on a social media platform, putting all their time and money and energy in the world of data, and not really building a connective layer that made sense and generated revenue for where we go. So the goal is, to answer your question, is wherever you go, you have immediate access. You have extremely concise technology allowing you to connect with the right people professionally, socially. And when you walk into retail spaces, instantly be able to see and command the environment.
Nice.
Was that a long Yeah, was that like a
Brian? Yeah.
hang on?
No, I was tracking the entire time. I thought that was a good. I thought that was a good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously, any company, any organization, or any social gathering, you want that connective, that engagement, and so you're kind of closing that gap where it's not so transactional. You're creating a bridge to relationship. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah, we're warming it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology, and big companies, I think they put a lot of energy into biomatrix, hot zoning, tons of data this, data that, AI this, AI that. But for a customer or for a person walking through the door, what's really empowering us when we walk through the door? What's warming it up? Yeah. We've automated ourselves out of the human experience. And Amazon is about convenience, and retail and physical space is about connection. And this is really where we're focused on.
I think as we move more and more towards community building, I think that this will catch on. Yeah. I'm praying, and I'm sure you felt it over the last few years, that movement hasn't been an urgency yet, but I think with AI, automating everything, it will start to come to the forefront, and people realize, okay, like your organization that closes that gap with the relationship play is going to be huge. So you'll have this tick.
What do you guys expect an ROI to be for a retailer, for instance, that integrates your platform?
That's a good question. I think the big things are for them. They're trying to lower friction points. Mm-hmm. So when you're I'm by the way, I'm just saying Home Depot. We're working with some other companies as well, but the main thing they want to do is instantly allow you to feel like they're aware of you and you're aware of them, and you're connecting and communicating. I'll use maybe an example of like a hotel, right? On our platform, you can easily spin up a hotel, and you're walking through the door and you instantly get to see valet, you get to see the front desk, you get to see concierge, you get to command and control your environment. There's value to that for them. And their return on investment is their ability to create that connection instantly, start communicating with the people. But us on the back end, that at headquarters, they can see one store. Like let's say Sephora. They have Sephora in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Beverly Hills, in Alabama. In our platform, not only are these people communicating with each other, but from a central control panel, they can see each store, they can see a region, they can see every store across the planet. Let's say it's Christmas time, and there's a spike in traffic. They can take a picture of a present, 15% off, and a 16-digit PIN, boom, and hit it, and hit 90,000 phones. So that's one thing where they can start to generate revenue and cultivate a sale or a deal while people are there, right? Meet people while they're there. Then as a customer, you're there and you're having a real-time actionable data experience.
I can see with your hotel example, when I walk into a hotel, because sometimes some people want to be next to the elevator, some people want to be far away from the elevator, and people change depending on the circumstance. And if being a person who wants to be far away from the elevator, get in the room, and that changes your customer experience by enough that if I know what room I'm gonna get, and I know I'm gonna get not only a view room or whatever, I'm gonna be on the quiet side or the loud side, I'm gonna be overlooking the pool and near the elevator or far away. That changes my experience a great deal, because I don't have to go back down. I have to ask the question of the clerk that's checking me in of hey, where's the room exactly, or going into a room and be slightly disappointed because it's just not the spot I want it to be in.
It sounds like it sounds like it's so we'll unpack it a little bit, because I think a lot of founders struggle with educating the market on what you do when you're trying to fill in a gap that was previously kind of people were unaware, whether it's B2B or B2C. Educating people on their pain point, there may be some resistance, and oftentimes messaging to your target market, even if you're just nailing it. They may not know they have this problem, so it sounds like you spend a lot of time educating the market on why this makes things easier, builds trust, and why it's important to have that trust with your customer or with the establishment, because one of the things you want to do is reduce churn. You don't want to lose a customer. And so if you're filling in that gap and there's a component to your business, whether it's your Scott or someone who may be listening, then you should be leaning into this and how to message that. So we'll come back to this, because the one thing I wanted to ask about you is how have you bootstrapped this company kind of in its current form, and how you've kind of done this in the past as well. But I want to jump to you, Kirby, real quick. You've been on the investor side for a long time, and I want to back up with you because I'm sure a lot of our audience is really curious to hear more about what you're building. But what was kind of your genesis into your build? What got you into funding and helping companies grow?
I grew up in Oakland, and one of the things my dad he detailed cars at British Motors in San Francisco and Van Ness. Back then it was Rolls-Royce and Jaguar, and he had a little side hustle where he would detail people's cars on the weekend after they sold the cars, and I would go with them. I wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. We go out there and we detail cars. I'm a car guy. I love cars. I've always loved cars, and so all these people had all these beautiful cars, and I would talk to them and ask them, like, what did they do? And a lot of them, they own their businesses, and sometimes people that we might spend a couple days. We might spend the weekend at one person's house because they had multiple cars. So I get to spend a lot of time with business owners, and I'm 6, 7, 8, whatever. The hours that it takes to detail a car. At some point, I would get bored, and usually the customer would take me out, drive around in one of the cars, and or go visit whatever they own. So we'd walk around and they talk about the stuff, and it was a fascinating experience. And so I just wanted to get cars. So I was like, I want to get, this is how you get cars. Is you own, you need to own a business. So when I went to school and did grad school, my whole point was to own a business. So I started working in private equity with the eye towards being able to buy a business. And that's what really sparked my interest and got me on this way, on the path of investing.
Did you have a dream car when you were a kid? 6 and 7 had to be like a fire truck or something, right?
No. You know what? My uncle was a studio engineer for Stanley Clark, and with one of his checks, he bought a little Ferrari. So there's a story of I sat in the Ferrari, and
that was it.
No one could get me out until he took me for a ride. So I sit there and put up a fight, and So
I thought Magnum PI was cool growing up because he had the Ferrari. Yeah, I remember that back in the 80s.
Of course.
Yeah. So
we used to have
308 GTSI.
Yeah.
So to this day, I watch old movies just to see cars. So I'll sit and.
Did you ever own one?
I always there was a year or two of hard time when I didn't have a fun car, and that was difficult. But no,
so you had a lot of mentors around you. Your dad had a business, and then you were surrounded with people who kind of poured into you certain ideas, and you were off to school. Probably built a great network, and then stayed local.
Stay local. Yeah. Yep.
And then when did you decide, like, okay, I'm not going to work for anybody else. I'm going to run a fund. When was that transition?
It was the fund I worked for. Started working in 2001. So coming out of the big tech recession of 2000, and they invested in more hard businesses, more infrastructure, construction. They did everything but tech. So it was great great learning experience. Ex-investment banker, so it was very interesting. We were able to do a lot of interesting deals, using a lot of interesting financial engineering and doing all that, all those fun things. But there was actually, you got to see a lot of businesses. You just look at, even then I was a journalist, we were journalists, so we looked at everything from, we were early doing ethanol production. We looking at cheese production. We looked at import and export, whey and shea butter and all. So it was just looking at just business and how it worked. So I got a great education and in the business and just what different how different businesses work.
Yeah.
And so 2010, when we had the great financial crisis there, we were going out to hit the road to raise our next fund, and there was no funding for kind of a small boutique shop like ours, and so bumping around and thinking about my next thing, and I connected with my partner, and he had just had a liquidity event, so he was thinking about what his next chapter was going to be. And I said, you got this great track record and got access. We can start a fund. So we talked about that for a year or so, and he worked on some stuff. And
can I jump in right here? Because I think, and so what I'm hearing is in that the early stages, he was in transition after a sale, right? He essentially had an event where he was like, what am I going to do next? You were having a similar event where the boutique just wasn't getting the traction. And let me say this to everybody, because in the beginning of Silicon Valley Impact, we used to bring people here, and I'm not saying this is what was happening with you, but we bring people in who, in tech in Silicon Valley, there's a constant ebb and flow of layoffs. And so we had a guy in here, and this is one that really stood out, that he was this, senior sales executive, really good. And he was talking about, the pain of it, but also the inspiration of it. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard founders or even emerging managers, whoever's a builder and looking to make an impact, there's that moment where you're in transition. That's kind of the buzzword for it. They're in transition. But it's not about so much experiencing the feelings and being helpless and hopeless. It's really about innovating the next phase. Great things happen in those moments. So if anyone who's out there right now and you're going through, quote unquote, a transition, and you're feeling it, and really it may be not landing right now, but it will. It is the greatest innovation moment of your life, where you can see and find a way to solve not only your pain, but someone else's pain.
That often happens. I mean, when you look through and when great companies are built in Silicon Valley, you look at during that financial crisis, there were great companies that were built because of all the layoffs. And there's a bunch of really, really bright people that are that need to do something else, that need to do something next. But it also happens at a company level. A lot of times when fundings run out and there's no more money and they're trying to make it work, and that's that transition of the business, oftentimes where you get to take that big leap when a lot of companies go from they raise what they can raise, and then when the funding stops and the founder has to really just double down and be creative in a way that oftentimes they didn't know they could be creative. Because how many conversations I've had with founders where we need this extra however much money, it's not there. There's no more money from us, and they spend a bunch of time, as long as they know, and just like us, as long as we know there's something keeping us, there's a soft spot. You don't get all the innovation. And then when there's no more soft spot, you find how many founders have built, gone from that burn to profitability and growth, when they think they need, this, I need this extra whatever money, but they, so through that, struggling through that,
you find a way.
You find a way.
You find a need. And here's where we make the transition to coming together. And when we come, when we have how am I trying to say this, Brian? We're going to have a visitor pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
when you're ready.
When we come back, I think here's a great overlap because, Scott, I want to talk to you about bootstrapping those early years,
Sure.
right? And then we want to talk also about how you ramped up your fund, how you started to raise. And so when you can raise and at the same time you need to bootstrap. So there's that polarity, right, of how founders and even emerging managers move forward. There's those who, can't get the cash, need to find a way. And then there's those who do, and then they're able to deploy or go to market or whatever it may be. And so we'll talk about that as soon as our little friend flies through.
Brian.
Yeah.
Just want to mention quickly Morehouse HR.
Tell me more.
Yeah, we got a few seconds for that.
Yeah.
Morehouse HR, of course, we all know this, that talent is your biggest competitive advantage. You know this. Everybody here knows this, right? But really, it's only if you hire right. And that's why you want to call or contact Morehouse HR. They are a human-centered recruiting and executive search firm built for today's businesses and business demands. They deliver highly curated, high-quality talent when it matters most. They have full-time and part-time roles. They fill these roles across North America. They connect you with the talent that your company needs. Morehouse HR delivers real people, real experience, and real results. So if you're falling behind on hiring, Brian, and you need some high quality candidates and you're frustrated with low quality candidates or fake resumes or fake candidates, you need to go to Morehouse HR, morehoushr.com. How's that?
Very good.
Well done. And I love these water bottles that she sent over. Shelly sent,
These are really
she sent over these these beautiful reusable bottles with Morehouse HR on them. See it? And it's very streamlined. All right, this is gonna get weird, Brian. That's not. All right. So
I think it got weird a few minutes ago, actually. I think I'm past that point.
all right, we're on par.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
Moving forward. All right, so we're talking here with Scott, Kirby, David in the background, drinking the water, enjoying the water.
Mid-drink. There you
go. So we were talking about the early stages of company. We're talking about kind of that genesis of when people come up with their idea, and we were transitioning into the raise and bootstrapping. Kirby, we're going to come back to kind of like, what was it like in that early stages of like, okay, you partnered with the right individual and then you guys were off. And of course we have the benefit of hindsight at this point. It's been great. Maybe not always, home run every day, but you keep swinging.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But Scott, in the early years of building your company, and is this company one for you, by the way, for your startup?
It's two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can also incorporate that. We talked before the show and online a little bit and emails a little bit about your experience with bootstrapping. And I'll tell the audience why I'm geeking out on this right now. We're in a phase, I believe, in our tech boom where we don't know what the next 6 months will be in terms of the growth of technology. And so deployment of capital needs to be strategic. You don't want to throw, $1 million at an idea. Next, few months, it's obsolete. And so strategically, I would want to see a startup bootstrap, use friends and family money, go to angel, and not give up everything right away to a VC, but have a strategy to prove their concept, who their market is, and then to see if this is a global a global idea, and then go to a VC for that next stage raise. And so at Stack, we kind of want to see, early stage companies use their skill set to strategically get cash before going to VC. What has been your experience in raising capital or having capital at your disposal before going to a VC?
Well, one, I want to say that our first company, I wouldn't consider that. I think that was a highly educational step into the world of failing miserably and learning a lot. And having big dreams and big visions and understanding what it is to raise and what it is for something to scale and the market being ready for you and everything. So company one, I got crushed, but it also humbled me and it taught me a lot going into two. And it gave me kind of this innate understanding of how to approach a company. And I love everything that you just, before we get into that too, back to if I wasn't in tech, I'd probably be in car. I love cars and detailing. All right, I just had to say that. There's something so relaxing about the entire experience. My friends bring me their cars. They're like, go.
Nice.
You're OCD. Just go. I'll leave it with you, and I'll pick it up here.
Good to know.
All right. Sorry, I digress. Everything that you said, we did. I did that in our approach. My goal, I guess I have a big vision.
In company two?
In this company, in Bonder. I want to, I don't know. I feel like a lot of companies, some people are really good at raising money, and I don't even know what the outcome is or actually how much revenue they generate. I have friends that have raised a lot. And I hear what they're making, and I'm like, wow, right? Is your valuation based on how much you raise, or is it based on the problems that you're solving? So, I wanted to run this as lean as we could. We, to date, have raised $3.4 million. We've had a long runway. We knew what we're doing is, like you said, the market being ready for us and us being ready for the market. We know that Bonder is monolithic in terms of what it is at scale. But we're being smart about how we're rolling out without needing critical mass adoption and solving these retail spaces. So as we kind of go, we raise what we need when we need it. And I've been really careful about understanding that with money comes energy. Money is energy, and you have to be really careful. Like, what does your cap table look like? Who's on your cap table? What is the collective energy of all?
That's what you meant. Money is energy. I thought every time you got a new funding round, everybody gets. What you mean is what the investors and what the people around are contributing. Other than money, is their the time and energy that they're bringing into the company. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you want positive vibes.
Yeah.
You want everyone who really understands the mission and the vision. We had people that would have jumped in with bigger chunks of money, and I didn't do it. I just wasn't
because of what you learned before. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you're looking for you're not just, it goes both ways. There's raising, and then there's the people that want to invest in you. And for me, I just want to make sure that I've always wanted to make sure I feel like it's a family. That if somebody is investing in us, we're coming together, and we believe that we want to evolve how the world is connecting and communicating. That they understand the bigger mission that we're on. So it's been very incremental. It's been lean. It's had tight times. We've had chunks of money. I see it coming and just, it's out, but I trust, and I don't do this alone. I pray, I meditate, I stay aligned with that. And so far it's really worked out for us. Yeah. But the most important thing is, and for anyone who's tuning in here too, is to realize that it's we can get really excited about raising, but really take the time to think about who's coming to the table, and make sure that your investors really understand and get. Which, if they're cutting a check, they probably do.
Yeah, what I'm hearing, and of course we can nail this down. I understand the importance of raising. Don't get me wrong. If you're going to grow and you're going to have a true venture, you're going to need to raise. I get it. But really what I'm sensing on a bigger level is there's those who raise for validation purposes because they lack an early stage strategy or the patience to go to market, get the feedback, grow, get the validation from the market as opposed to the investors. And when you find ways to grow strategically early without going to that funding right away, I truly believe that is where a smart investor can see, okay, this founding team has what it takes to be strategic throughout, the life cycle of the company, rather than just in the beginning. So I don't know. I'm just been geeking out on this lately. I'm gonna pivot to you, Kirby, and early, because your game was to raise early, because obviously you're going to be deploying capital. But talk a little bit about how you went about your process in the early years of gaining capital.
Well, maybe we can go back to what you talked about as far as a founder and getting customers versus raising money. One thing I like to remind founders is, your ultimate success is going to be more closely correlated to your failures than your success, because you only succeed one time and you fail 10 times, 15, 20 times in between, and you got to learn. Yeah. And then you succeed one more time, you figure something else out, and you get to take another step, and then you got to go fail another 10 or 15 times. So a lot of times you get, young founders or founders, and they just want to tell you about the times they succeeded. Yeah. And if the first thing you tried worked, that's not going to scale, right? Because the first time you fail, do you know how to iterate? And because you're going to fail, the failure is going to come. So being adept at, failing forward or learning from your failures and being able to iterate, because typically it's not a straight line. What got you from here to here, from your, from 0 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 1,000,000 is not going to get you to 500 million, a billion. But the process of learning it and iterating, that part will scale. But a lot of stuff you do all along the way, it doesn't move to the next. It doesn't operationally doesn't make it to the next phase. Yeah. So I am less concerned. I love to see somebody bootstrapped and have done some things, but in my mind, I have to figure out what's scaling. What of all these processes that you're doing is scaling? And like I said, you need to have failed hundreds of times to find the right thing. Because if the first thing you tried worked, it might not be the best answer, because you didn't try a whole bunch of stuff. You tried 2 things and one worked.
If you didn't wake up hyperventilating one morning, you're not in the game. Yeah, just waking up like,
Yeah, I love what you said. I love what you said, Kirby, about creating systems that work. And a lot of that is sanding down through trial and error, right? Finding that thing. And I totally agree. I think that's a part of the component, is how well have you sanded down your systems, right? Your process.
Because the product we've seen how many of our, really successful companies started off in a product, totally different space. And they, again, we're going to try 100 things to get to the one thing that works. Yeah. And when you're trying 100 things, you find a whole bunch of stuff. And a lot of these, really successful companies, they found success in another place, other than where they started and where they were thinking about this. And a lot of times there's some through line from where they started to where they finished but it's not the pitch that we saw.
Yeah. Do you ask that in due diligence? Do you ask, how have you failed? Do you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I want to understand how do you get in front of me? How did you get in front of me? And if it's, my aunt introduced me to my first customer, because a lot of people, your first couple of customers are, a lot of times are warm intros or something. Yeah. So it's like, that's not going to scale, right? Yeah. You can get to some number, and it's, and you can have a good business that's profitable, and you can feed your family, but it's not going to be venture scale through just intros. You have to have some kind of process. So I need to hear, how'd your sales process go, and how'd you iterate your sales process, and what are you thinking about your sales process? If it takes months or weeks or however, how are you shortening it? How are you getting people to write bigger checks? Yeah. There's a process, and I'm trying to understand the process. And if the process is, I asked this person, they did it. I asked this person, they did it. Okay, you haven't learned anything. And even if you're coming to me looking for a check that's 6 or 7 figures, it's that kind of thing is just not going to. You're going to burn up.
So you want to see somebody that's been in the battlefield?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to think and understand how you iterate, because we've made investments in this. It's a 10, 12, 15-year relationship. Again, and you need to be able to iterate, and you need to be able to go from that first phase to the second phase to the third phase, and that's about iteration. That's about constant learning. And when if you're able to make your first sales through introductions, and you think you're going to keep doing introductions, but you don't know how to sell. Yeah, actually sell.
I could feel David thinking over there, reflecting back his times of selling. And so what I'm hearing is that you can have in the beginning some founder-led sales. You knew someone here and knew someone there, but again, having a team that really knows how to, like we were talking about earlier, educating the market and creating the relationships. I think that requires a communication skill, or at least an individual and a team that knows how to connect human to human, right?
Yeah, yeah, but they also know, but that goes from sales, that goes to product, that goes in all facets of the business. Is, again, someone comes out with a product and they say, this is great. Mm-hmm. And you go and you start trying to sell it without, I'm trying to understand what your customer feedback looks like. And that also is going to speak to sales. So it's just that iterative loop, and I'm looking for speed, agility, efficiency, and that iterative loop across the business. And all right,
everyone listening now, you just heard what Kirby's looking for. He wants to see innovation. He wants to see systems. He wants to see speed. I mean, those are the top three I'm hearing, right, in terms of like what's important.
Yeah. And learning.
Well, not only learning, like how receptive you are to coaching and.
Agility was the word he used.
Yeah, agility was. Yeah.
That's a good word.
And if someone's coming and pitching and using secondary research, I read this somewhere. I'm like, well, you have AI, you have all the stuff. You should be able to go out and test all these hypotheses and have firsthand understanding of what's going on. It's not about build something and then can you spin it up and test your hypotheses quickly and efficiently, and build out your company. Because if a founder's coming to me saying they read something and that's how they know, or that's how they're understanding, that's fine. That's a good starting point for you to start doing your primary research.
Scott, jump in on this.
We were at Rosewood yesterday, and I spun up Rosewood. They didn't know about it, but
I was at Rosewood yesterday.
We were there yesterday. We were there all day yesterday. Yeah.
Well, jump in on this. Kind of pick out what was your experience? Not only in your first company, but this company. How did you start to build sales? You brought in obviously a great team, but what was kind of your approach in terms of systems and going to market your beachhead?
I guess this is from my dad: work hard, work smart, go big, go home, kind of thing. I probably went too big out of the gate, but for me, my approach was to align with bigger companies. Well, going into the whole thing, I wanted to make sure we had the top tech law firm behind us. I wanted to make sure that what we were building was built. I'm really OCD. Mm-hmm. So for me, I want to build the Rolls Royce of communication platforms. I want to have everyone who's involved to be, a certain level. And that also, that went into the companies that I approached. And I just went for it. I had pre-existing relationships with a lot of people in the tech space. And so I had an early stage connector with AT&T, the head of strategic innovation there. And but once we built it, I don't think he was quite getting. It must be Rosewood or something. I don't know. I always but I met with him and I just said, hey, I don't think you're getting it. And I showed him what our platform does. And he goes, does this thing do this? Like for real? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. And then a month later, my phone rings at 11:30 at night on a Saturday night. I'm in Miami. Everyone's out. I'm at home in my T-shirt and PJs watching Mandalorian. And he's like, you need to come down to this event. And I'm all, what's going on? He goes, well, the CTO of Louis Vuitton is here. And, they do like maybe $100 million a year with us. And it's very hard for us to pitch anything that they really like. And he really likes your platform and he wants to meet you now. Mm-hmm. So, I went down there and met with him. And within a few months, was able to talk him into being on our board of advisors. And here we go. This is kind of the ball is rolling and kind of where we're expanding from there. And then I knew my weaknesses as well. I had these massive deals. And one of our investors, he sold his company for $1.4 billion to Guggenheimer or something like that, blockchain, something or other. And he said, we hired one guy that took it home for us. We needed a guy that could close these deals. He's like, I couldn't do it. I wasn't he's like, the guy was intense, but he went and nailed these deals for us. And we had maxed out at this purchase price of 1.4 billion over a few years, and that was it, So then I started thinking that way, and and I'm like, I need a guy.
Yeah.
I need somebody who's, not to put you on the spot, and randomly he's here.
He's talking to David. I know you're all thinking he's pointing at me, but he's talking
But randomly, we have a meeting with Cisco today in the city, so he's here. We're all just kind of hanging out. We've been hunkered down looking at these deals and what we have together, and then for me, it's just understanding where my weaknesses are, right? And really making sure I have these. No one said no, but why haven't they said yes? And that's me, right? So I don't know if I'm answering your question. It is. I guess it's how do you?
So what I'm hearing, So the question was like how you took it to market. And it sounds like you're both saying, relationships matter, connecting. I mean, but at the same time, systems matter, process matters. You got to be strategic. And one of those big plays, and we talk a lot about it here on Silicon Valley Impact, is the importance of partnerships. Whether you're hiring it, talent, shout out Shelley, or you're hiring it, or you're bringing them on to your board, or they're a co-founder. You got to surround yourself with partnerships that are going to move the needle, and that's what I'm seeing that was one of your strategies.
And a bigger thing as well in the world of technology and everyone's idea, what you build matters.
All right. Well, when we come back, we'll talk a little more about this.
Is that what I'm hearing, Brian?
All right. It's that time once again. We're talking a lot in here about Stack Ventures, but let me tell you a little bit more about what they're working on. And you and I, Kirby, met at Stack. Stack Ventures is transforming real estate into a full stack ecosystem solution for East Bay residency and global startups, backed by Baring Capital, located in the heart of uptown Oakland at 1900 Broadway and 1950 Franklin. Stack Space has 3 towers with over 1.6 million square feet of a luxury living, event space, resort style amenities, EV mobility, a data center, office space, and access to one of the biggest startup communities in the Bay Area. Check out stackspace.com. That's STAK, stackspace.com. And it is what I believe one of the greatest go-to-market strategies of being a part of them. They have infrastructure, they have community and proximity to the Bay Area like no other. All right. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, beautiful space. And that rooftop can't be beat.
Yeah, it can't be beat. You heard
they have
it here.
A data center. Hello.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
You should come check it out. Have you been there yet?
No, but I'll go anywhere with a data center. I love that stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. Moving on. So we're talking about, again, strategies on how to get to the market. Kirby, I know we're talking a little about your early years and kind of like how the fun kicked off for you. Yeah. If there are early emerging managers out there, and right now there's just a lot of them. I mean, you feel like they're pumping VCs out by the tons weekly, but you got in at a great time. You're intelligent. You had the experience. You had everything it took. But nowadays, someone's going to have, to have a little something extra. What would you say to them in terms of the basics and what it takes to raise and become a successful manager at this point?
I think it's the same tenacity it took for us to raise and become successful when we did it in 2011. And of course, you need deal flow, and you need the courage and conviction to step in. And I mean, asking people for money, as you know, Scott, is difficult, and have the vision and belief and ultimately the courage to put the money to work, the courage to ask for the money, the courage to go out and start. And now there are a multitude of ways to get your first deal, whether it's through SPVs. We started our first the first entity we spun up was an SPV, and that's how we started. Because it's so much easier to raise money for a specific deal, get somebody interested in this deal. Like, I have access to a deal, so getting access to some opportunity that you can bring to market. And a couple things that we did were we invested in a bunch of deals, and we warehoused them for the fund. So we were able to actually point to a small portfolio and say, hey, there's already stuff that's in a portfolio and it's doing well. You can look at it over 3, 4, 5, 6 months of the capital raise, and see the progress of these companies. So those kind of bootstrapping tricks, and it gives people some idea of the kind of investor, the kind of opportunities that you're going to find.
Let me ask you a hometown question. This is a little selfish on my end. I've fallen in love with Oakland the last year.
Okay.
It's been you've born and raised pretty much in that area, right?
Born and raised, absolutely.
Yeah. What was the advantage to continuing to build the fund and you talked about deal flow to being in the East Bay? Was it just home and you wanted to represent, or what was there another advantage?
We're a mile away. We're not even a mile away from UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
One of the great institutions.
Is that your alma mater?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But I've traveled around the world, and Berkeley, like you see Berkeley, and
they know.
They know, and being from here and being at that school was in your backyard, you never really thought of it. I never, thought of it as anything but Berkeley. You had to go to Berkeley until I traveled and saw how other people reacted and understood what Berkeley really brought.
I'll say this about the East Bay, particularly about Oakland and that, the Berkeley area, is I said, I'm developing this little ICP catchphrase for Oakland, right? Stack has the infrastructure, I mentioned that earlier. Huge community, but the proximity to San Francisco, you're often closer to San Francisco than actually San Francisco. You can be you could be over by the Golden Gate, and then to get back over the financial, it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour, right? I can be from Oakland at Stack in 12 minutes any time of the day. Yeah. And that advantage is absolutely incredible. So, and another thing, talking about living there, 44% of the people who actually work in San Francisco live in the East Bay. Yeah. So it's a great place. Proximity, that's not a sell, but when it comes to startups, if you're going to build in the Bay Area, you can obviously raise on the peninsula, Silicon Valley. Yeah. You can innovate in the Bay, but you really grow on the East Bay because the proximity and the cost of living, you have everything there, and it's remarkable. And again, if you're thinking globally and you want to come to the Bay Area, and those of you, I know we're in over 35 countries, those of you who are listening, you want to be close to where all the action is. And the fact that you chose, Kirby, to continue to build in Oakland says something, because you guys really done well. Yeah. And a lot of people are doing well out of there, despite some of the press it gets. Yeah. Did I convince you? Did I convince you, Scott?
No, I love it. I was thinking of friends that are executives in New York, and oftentimes we're video chatting and they're riding their bike across the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, good time.
The other side,
All right, we got a few minutes left. I want to ask both of you, what's next? We talked a little bit about the insights and strategies of how to build from the emerging manager's perspective of fund startups. But what's next now? Scott, you've been building Bonder for a little bit now. You've had that runway. Kirby, you're doing great. What's 2026 and 2027 looking for you guys? Looking like? Top of mind. What's next?
Yeah, I think it's solidifying these larger deals and getting them rolled out, and seeing the expansion and adoption and activation of our technology. We have some really, I didn't just want to do AI, but we've created a really amazing, highly accurate connection engine that I won't get too much into, but it's coming here shortly, that we think will help both on the retail side and definitely help people better connect with people in proximity. So we're focused on that, just developing and executing and making sure the platform is there and ready to scale. And then working with David and a handful of really large opportunities that we have in hand, and making sure that those are cultivated and in place and expanding the way they should. And I wanted to say this too, that all of this, I feel like that from our investors and just investors that we've talked to in the past too, you kind of can't BS around this stuff anymore. I feel like you really have to have something that really, I hope that anyone out there that is building something today is really thinking about the long shot and what the outcome is of what they're building. And I love how we've said a lot here today about human-centered and connect.
I was just thinking about this. Do you ever ask your investors about their investors?
No.
Yeah. I always
their investors. No, I don't.
We always say, there's the saying, crap rolls downhill, but blessings roll downhill as well. And we've been fortunate to have a lot of really great investors. But one of those things of like, if you have if you have great investors, you're gonna probably be a great investor. Be a supportive and have that good energy. If your investors my investors have good energy, I'm gonna pass that good energy on to you.
And I love that mentality. That's why I said earlier, there's an energy behind the money, and our cap table to me is clean. We're family. We get on, we do our quarterlies, and no one's screaming at anyone. No one's yelling at me or anything. They understand it and they feel it. But I never thought of that.
Let me put a pin in that.
That's cool.
Because I often say, as for investors, they're looking for founder fit. Right. And I'll ask the investors when they come in, what are you looking for in a startup? Basic question, because that's our audience. But for our audience, I also encourage them to ask about their investor for investor fit. And so the fact that you put words behind a great question for a founder to ask an investor, who are your investors, really empowers it both ways. Because if you want to learn about someone, you want a two-way conversation. You don't want just someone just pitching to you as an investor all the time. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing this. But having a conversation about it, I think that's a great question.
I really like it,
to ask. So good question.
That's good.
All right, I love it. And so I got to ask you, what keeps you going? I'm going to ask you this too, Kirby. Okay. Why do you love doing what you're doing? Because this is company two, and you're just going, you're grinding.
Yeah, I can't. It's like breathing. I don't know how to not do this. You get the download. You feel. For me, again, I'm meditating, praying. I'm just connected, and I just felt like this is it, and I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to not do it, and I'm going to lean in. I'm not going to blow over. I'm not a quitter. I'm not weak, and I've been in the trenches, and I've been beat up, and here I am, and so I just don't know how to not do what we're doing, and I won't fail. I won't fail the vision. I won't fail the mission. I won't fail our investors, and I'm not going to stop until we hit the point. I don't even think there's a destination.
Yeah,
I don't have generating. If we're we're at 300 million in ARR or something like that, I'm not going to be like taking my foot off the gas. Like, I've got vision. I have an idea of where this thing goes, and it's got a lot.
You get me fired up, Scott.
Yeah,
I'm ready to get in the game.
Let's go.
I love it. And you're here in Los Gatos too, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been bouncing between here and Miami, but being back here, I realize, like you said, you have to be in proximity. Yeah. It's an important thing.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, get me fired up. Yeah. Kirby, what's next for you?
I'm continuing to work with our founders and build our portfolio and help them develop and move on to these next phases and raise and get new customers and think about how to scale their business and take it to the next level. We've been 15 years and there's a lot of pent up value in the portfolio, and so we're looking for the exit or two that becomes a catalyst for us to go out and raise the next fund with just a different kind of energy. So, we're keeping our fingers crossed. Hope the public markets, continue to thrive, and hopefully they open up a little more fully, because we have a pretty mature portfolio across our funds. We're continuing to build, we're continuing to support and invest and find great founders. It always gives me energy, when you see someone, when they walk in two, and then, you come out 3, 4, 5 years later and you got to show a name badge, and, and that's a gratifying where no one knows you're in a building except for the founder. You got to walk through a whole bunch of.
I love that's great.
Love that.
And so I got to ask you, we've heard about where it all started for you. We've heard about the early years, and now we heard about what's next. And then and all of that. What keeps you going? Why do you love doing this?
It's always new. It's always new. It's new, and it's always been. I get to learn. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. So learning about Scott's business and learning about what you're doing at Stack, and what founders. I get to talk to half a dozen founders every day, every week, and hear what they're doing, hear what they're building, and that energy. I mean, that's contagious, and and to see you follow. Sometimes it's you put money in and you get to follow a little more. You're more invested, but there's a lot that you get to see come along, and look, we can't invest in everybody that comes through, but we can build a relationship with everybody that comes through. And we talk about, even with our portfolio, we say all of our investments aren't going to be financially successful, right? When you think about it, it's 20% or something like that succeed, but we need all the relationships to be successful. We need to be, because we want to invest in founders through their entrepreneurial journey, like Scott and these guys that just aren't going to stop. They're going to keep doing stuff. So, and there were some investors that paid for your first education. It's like, well, that journey, the challenge. I want to win. We want to win. We want to generate return for our investors. We want to win. We want to do. I want to prove and show that. These things that these founders that we took bets on early, that they were. I love.
Okay, this is what I'm feeling right now, and I'm going to put two things together. You just said it right now, and I felt it, and you were saying it earlier that, before the show even started. And I'm going to use my own words, but you said something like this: in order to do kind of like what we're doing, you got to be a little crazy. I'm paraphrasing. You didn't use. I don't think you said crazy. I think you need to be something like that, right?
It's appropriate.
Yeah, you got to be. You got to have an axe to grind. You got to be after something. And then you both said to some extent, you got to be a little competitive, right? You got to be competing. You got to want to win, and to have that little that little piece of you that's off. So that's another way of putting it. And then the competitiveness, the wanting to win. There's something to be bottled there, and to promote it, not only just from they call it now toxic masculinity, right? Not from that perspective, but I really think it's both in women's sports. I mean, I've been going to a lot of Valkyrie games, and these women are just out there competing and bringing their teams together. So we're not just talking about it from one sex. I think it's in us all. And the founders that come in here are doing well, and the managers, the VCs, and the investors that are doing well, they have that. Oh wait,
who is it?
That was Skylar.
Come on.
That was Skylar.
Didn't you say there was a rule?
Yeah, it just came on my. Hold on, let me see if I can get it back.
Machine, can't you?
Yeah, let me see if I can. I did.
You said it. I didn't.
I said it. Hold on, let's see if we can get it to come back. All right, but I had a point here. But there's this axe to grind, this competitiveness that really helps people develop this grit that we hear a lot about. And you both have it. You've done it so well. It's no wonder Bonder is moving towards, success. It's no wonder why you've done great things, Kirby. So I really want to promote that. And I did this in a talk the other day. I mentioned it's okay to be competitive. Yeah. It's okay to look to bring people in to help you move the needle. There's a healthy competitiveness and there's destructive competitiveness. I think what we're talking here is that really we want to build, we want to make an impact. And so I want to acknowledge both of you being a competitor to fix problems and to make a difference.
Thank you.
So well done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank
Brian,
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. David, we're going to have you back, buddy, because I know you got a lot to share too. So thanks for coming in, sitting there. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We want you to be safe. We'll see you next week. See you soon.
Thank you, Brian. Good show, you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.